Hello and welcome back to another installment of Poke Fodder, where, as you can see, we have the teen event is now underway, but that is not the most important news that we've seen lately. In fact, the most important news that we've seen lately is this little alert here about a teaser for version 6.0 celebrating the second anniversary of the initial release of Pokemon Duel, not of the global release. If you'll remember, that was back in January. And they kind of tease a couple of different figures. The overwhelming opinion is Kyurem white and black, and then maybe an additional figure that has to do with the Ultra Beasts. You know me, I can't tell off of these silhouettes who they are because I don't know the entire Pokemon lore. But there's a couple different opinions out there. I'm not going to try to say any of them are wrong or right. I've looked at the sprites for Kyurem that I've seen online, and I guess that could be it. It doesn't look exactly like the figures, but who knows? What I do feel pretty confident in saying is that look for this to come out on April 12th. Now, it just says April. It's not very specific. Right here where it says we will be celebrating Pokemon Duel's two-year anniversary in April. If I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure that I do, or April 11th or 12th, because I went in and looked at my archives, and that's when we got the information. That's when we got the 1-year bonus last year, and it came with a new banner. It could be April 2nd. There's an outside chance at April 2nd, and the reason why I say April 2nd, but I don't believe it's April 2nd, is because if you look at this notice regarding the attack-related bug, it says compensation distribution date planned to occur during maintenance on April 2nd, which is weird because going off of that, it looks like going off of the information we've gotten lately, it looks like we're going to have a maintenance next week for the new banner on the 20th. And then I guess 2 weeks later on April 2nd, which then 10 days later is when 9 days later is when I'm projecting we'll actually get 6.0 and the 2-year anniversary. Also look for them to give away, similar to how they gave away the UX recently with version 5.0, you know, the UX materials, ingot, cube, and rare metals. Look for either that or a figure that is not a new figure. Look for them to give away a recycled figure, maybe something that not everybody has had a chance to get, which means it's probably not going to be great unless it comes with a buff. That's kind of my projection as far as 6.0. What I want to talk about today, though, is with the Shiny Rayquaza that came out. A lot of people are like, oh, this is great, this will work. And I made the comment of, yes, this is probably the nicest figure that we have received as a free figure, but I will say with a caveat of, at the time, Magikarp and Gyarados were really good. And now, since it's so far out of the meta, people are like, yeah, it's trash. And I don't even think it's trash now. I actually think it's still decent now that Lunala and Leo and Blaziken are run less often. I think Gyarados actually is a nice play again. In fact, Gyarados might be decent in the deck that you see here. We have to think about that. But other than that, Shiny Rayquaza is a viable figure. I made the contention that it's probably not going to be run a lot, just because The problem with the Ultra Beast decks aren't your figures going to Ultra Space, it's them sending their figures to Ultra Space, and then in turn using the call signal cheese to get them back for the victory. And that is the hard thing about stopping an Ultra Beast deck, not necessarily your figures going off to Ultra Space. But what I want to do is I want to take advantage of that, because normal Rayquaza gets the Primal Rage buff off of other people's Shiny Rayquazas. And I have a couple of matches that I have game IDs for to show off exactly why I believe this to be the case. Now, the deck you see here isn't the deck that I'm going to run in those game IDs. I'm actually just trying Articuno because honestly, I think Articuno I think the Freeze Charge is a better move than Thunder Charge. My Articuno is only level 5. If it were at level 9, like my Zapdos, I would put it all into purple. And that is the reason for this build. It's been a very successful build so far. It's actually kind of fun to play as well. And I've seen other people starting to pick up on it. So what I want to do is I want to show you, I believe, like I have two good, here's the thing is, I played several games in the last couple days with this deck, and I've had some good matches, and I saved a couple of game IDs because I was like, well, these are particularly good matches. I'm 99% sure one of them is against a Swablu deck, but I believe the other is against a deck that has a Shiny Rayquaza in it. And I hope so, but if not, just know that my opinion is you can run, if you're going to run an Altaria deck, you can run regular Rayquaza effectively, and I think it is a better figure than the Shiny Rayquaza. Let me go pull the two game IDs for you, and we're going to jump into those matches. All right, this first one I'm pretty sure is going to be the Swablu deck, and it is. My opponent has a kind of a different, let's see if I can catch this before it starts. It has kind of a different build than I've seen on the Swablu deck before, because Popplio and Primarina both have Sing. So this round is actually going to be times 5 because of all these figures when they're on the board. A little bit different. Typically you'll see this with a Lunala and a Zapdos on the board, but these Swablus, which are a pain in my side, have, I want to say that they hit for like 104 or 105 or something, just absolutely ridiculous. But as you can see, I have the same deck build that I showed, with the exception that I mentioned of Zapdos. And let's just kind of play this back. I'm going to move first. I'm going to open up Zapdos aggressively. And like most Swablus, he's going to go and just surround his goal. And that's fine. I bring out my second runner. And this sets up really nice, because what I want to do is double chance straight into this all-white figure. Now I had a decision to make here. Do I go again, or do I leave it? I decided to go ahead and leave Confusion, because now Stuffle, is it Fluffle? Which one is this? This is Stuffle. Yeah, Stuffle is going to roll Miss like all but 8%. It has a 92% chance of rolling Miss. We'll go that way. We're not going to say all the time. So that's why I decided to leave that. Now that's going to let him bring down his Swablu to set up the surround. I go ahead and easily close that off. And now he starts bringing out the rest of his figures. Kind of an interesting play there. Going for the round attack, only hitting 84. I am only hitting 70. So I guess it wasn't the worst play. He goes ahead and hurdles over and takes out my Noibat. I have long throw, and my opponent didn't see that. And as Rico would say, mistakes were made, my friend, because now I get the easy surround. The Stuffle doesn't mean a whole lot to me because it is confused. My Noibat is actually a nice play here because I have so many opportunities to get it evolved off of Whirlwind. And with the buff, see, there was 105. With the buff, it can hit up to 65. Now that's not typically going to work against these round decks, the Swablu rounds, because as you can see, my 65 drops all the way down to 5, and that's not going to knock out anything but a miss. And I believe they have no miss. I believe these are all leveled up completely. And there we go. 5 doesn't beat 105. So I back up my Ray, and I'm pretty sure it's a Pokefodder video. You guys kind of expect that, right? But now Ray has a ginormous buff. Look at this, a 181. That's going to come all the way back down to 121, which is ridiculous that you attack into an uncommon figure and you lose that much power. But Ray made easy work of the Swablu, and now his deck gets a little bit weaker. I was one turn away from the cheese. I didn't attack there because I didn't want to get slept. Like, the one thing I don't want to do is to get slept here. Now this is going to be doing 50% damage. Doesn't matter because I get the fly. And think about this. This Swablu would have been hitting for, what is that, like 100 and what was that, 94 plus 30, so 124. Because of the Perish song, that is an insane amount of damage. But because of the Perish song, I'm trying to get my Zapdos over next to his Swablu because I think I can take it out. Like, I'm going for the banish on that eventually. I do lose my slept Pokemon there. That is the perfect scenario there. Although 89, I think, would have been suffice to knock out his Swablu, but not. I didn't just knock it out, I removed it from the game, which is going to go a long way in trying to get to where I'm victorious. I will say that right here, my Noibat puts in some really good work. I could have and probably should have just moved Zapdos over, but with the Swablu, it's hard to take a chance and leave your goal because you just don't know what kind of power you're going to need. And he had the Swablu there sitting on my entry point. Or no, he didn't. The Primarina. I apologize for that. The fact that my Noibat is even still alive after this many rolls, I'm sure my opponent was just completely infuriated. Round 60, so I could have covered that with an attack. My opponent decides not to back up and try to attack. And because I'm not losing all of my damage, sorry about that, I finally get the knockout, get my evolution. I'm going to drop my Winged Sphere Plate, which actually makes Noivern a very solid figure. Really fortunate roll there because my Altaria was cursed. I lost there and I lost my figure. We're going to go with another drop another Perish Song down. And my Noivern is really strong at this point. And I think all of his figures are now cursed. And you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of the curse mechanic the way it is now. God, the Swablues, man, I'm telling you. The good news is I have the advantage in figures now. And so I can afford to be a little bit more aggressive than normal. Coco's not going to end up getting the knockout here, but it was completely worth the risk, simply because I can always bring figures. I have the figure advantage, so it's going to be easy for me to bring figures out. I think that was a misplay by my opponent. He should have just attacked, because he wasn't going to be able to outrun. And once again, Rayquaza banishes another figure. Although Zapdos did the first one. Swablu is going to come down. Round is not going to help him anymore. And we have another figure banished. And then my opponent's just going to go ahead and complete the Quadfecta. And Rayquaza is happy to oblige. I think my opponent had just given up at that point. But I can honestly say that that is the first time I have swept an entire team off the board. So there you go. It held up well against the deck that I was running, held up well against the Swablu deck. And if you are a player who is in the like 3,000 to 3,300, 3,400, somewhere in there, you're going to see a lot of Swablu decks. I have seen an insane amount of those, probably more of those than anything else. And I equate that to being because they are so inexpensive to create. A lot of people, no matter what your rank is, already have the Zapdos at level 10 or 9 with numerous chain levels, probably a Lunala with high chain levels. As you can see, my opponent was running the Poplio and the Stuffle, so he or she had 5 uncommon figures, and I ended up winning pretty handedly there. But the game at the time, it was not a foregone conclusion that I was going to win, and I'm running all EXs with numerous chain levels, and that is why you will see a lot of Swablu decks, is because they are inexpensive and strong. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that, what is it, like in boxing, it's a pound for pound is how they equate things. I would say ingot for ingot, my opponent's Swablu deck was stronger than mine because my deck was significantly more expensive to create than his. I do have another one, and it does have Rayquaza versus Shiny Rayquaza, and you will get a good idea of why I say that Shiny Rayquaza is not as good as Rayquaza. So give me 1 second, and we'll be right back with that video. Now, I will tell you that I don't remember the specifics of this match, but I saved the game ID, so you know it's going to be good. But one thing I will tell you as this loads up is my Rayquaza is going to get the Primal Rage buff, but the Shiny Rayquaza is not going to have it reciprocated. So because of his Shiny Rayquaza, I'm going to get plus 20 damage and an MP move buff on all my moves, where Shiny Rayquaza, one thing a lot of people liked about it was it was 2 MP off the bench. But I'm going to be, not only, if I wait for him to bring out his Shiny Rayquaza first, not only am I going to be 2 MP off the bench, but I'm going to be 2 MP all the time. And that makes my Rayquaza stronger and faster. than his Rayquaza. So there you go. I have faced several other opponents running Shiny Rayquaza. It's getting a lot more play than I thought it would. And I will say that a lot of times, they just leave it on the bench when they see that I have Rayquaza. So, take that for what it's worth. See, he just made my Rayquaza so strong, especially with these Altaria buffs. See, I'm 181 there with one Altaria. With my other one, I think I'm hitting 191. Gotta love that. We're gonna easily dispose of DOA. $181 is it's overkill. Like, the only time that you really need to be hitting for 181 is when you play the Swablu decks. And that's kind of why I like Rayquaza there, is because even against the Swablu decks, it hits for such a high number. I don't know why my opponent respun there. He had no winning rolls. That it can overcome the negating of the damage buffs from the Swablus. My Tapu Koko here is going to get knocked out by Mimikyu. Pretty expected. Tapu Koko doesn't really fare well against Mimikyu. That was a misplay by my opponent. My opponent should have come out to block off in front of my Noibat, but I landed Fly. Either way, landing Fly was going to be a winning move for me. So there you go. There's two good examples that really showcase why I think Rayquaza or Rayquaza is better than the shiny version. But I'm interested to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Ray is even viable with the Altarias, with other people running shiny Rays? And I do see some. In fact, my ultimate question is do you think it's viable? Let me see if I can go through. We've got one. So it looks like maybe just one Wobbuffet. So there's only one in the new figures, and then if we go over here to Spotlight, these don't change very often. So there may not be any in here. There's one there, so two, which isn't a lot. And I don't see Shiny Rayquaza often, but I do see it. And I even think that as a 1 MP figure, Rayquaza hits hard enough to justify being 1 MP and still being run in your deck. So let me know what you guys think. If it's usable, if this is a passing fad, it very well could change with the very next update. Nothing seems to remain meta for very long. But that is going to be Friday's video. Get out there and get your team event rewards. And in fact, before I leave you guys, because I have not even looked yet, let's take a look at what our team rewards are. Achievement rewards are going to be a couple of booster tickets, some cubes, 10 Carmonite, 20 Carmonite, another shiny Eevee. That makes 50 Carmonite. More ingots are nice. Okay, so we've got another shiny Eevee and nothing else after it. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that what we're probably gonna get shiny Flareon in the next gym or Sparkle boosters. I feel bad. Does it say somewhere? Event details. Like, surely it's gonna tell us, right? About Sparkle boosters? I don't see, without reading through all this, anything about sparkle boosters. They usually would be down in here. Nope. Ranking rewards are probably going to be the 50 Carmenites. Team rank only. Interesting. I don't see anything in the event details about what the reward is. So, another shiny Eevee. I didn't get the shiny Jolteon. I did get the shiny Vaporeon. So we'll probably have sparkle boosters. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Jolteon. What do we have left? We have Jolteon, Leafeon. No, we have Flareon, Leafeon. And why can't I think of the other? Now this is bothering me. Let me go look. Let me just take a quick look. It's going to be so obvious whenever I get there too. Let's scroll down. So we could potentially have Umbreon, shiny Umbreon, shiny Flareon, or shiny Leafeon. One of those. I'm going to say Leafeon, and then I think we may have a grass deck coming up, a grass gym coming up. Here's my prediction for you. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.